Hey, I'm Babs, and this is Two Jiujiteiras. This podcast is all about connection through movement, mindset, and the journey of longevity. I sit down with people who care deeply about physical and mental health, self-care, and the journey of longevity on and off the mats. If you're into real conversations that help you grow, you're in the right place. Today, I'm joined by Veronique Chadillon-Farinacci, a purple belt at Quantum Jiu-Jitsu, a criminology professor whose journey is as unique as it is inspiring, from competing across Quebec and Ontario to researching justice in the Maritimes. Veronique brings a fascinating perspective to jiu-jitsu, criminology, and women's self-defense. And when she's not on the mats or in the classroom, you'll see her off on many adventures with her beagle. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. I've watched your stories and your little adventures along the way, and it's just been like so entertaining. And can I ask, what is your beagle's name?
My beagle's name is
Yeah.
Madam Peanut.
Is Madam Peanut? Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's so
the
adorable.
madam is very important.
Very important. I know you've
Mhm.
had so many wonderful adventures with her and like solving mysteries and
Yes, well, I bring her everywhere. She's my little sidekick. She brings a lot of humor in things that are pretty much trivial, and it's nice to be able to diffuse that joy with people.
no, it's and you do definitely do. I also wanted to ask, congratulations. Yesterday you were at the East Coast Grappling Tournament. Were you competing there this weekend?
No, no, I wasn't there, but I had the chance to participate in Tori Smith warm up because she showed up at
Oh,
Quantum, and
okay.
she was a delightful guest. And we just rolled, we flow rolled, and that's it. So
Okay.
I participated in her prep, and I'm very honored to had an input on that.
Nice. Okay, I saw pictures and I thought, oh, she went to the event. Okay, so she must have been competing. I just assumed, but that was my
Next
bad.
time, next time,
Next
I might,
time.
I might, I might do one in winter. I'm not sure. It depends. I need to have the right winning conditions, so I'm thinking about it.
Okay, that's cool. So I guess to kind of start back from the beginning then, what got you into jujitsu?
Yes, the mystery of how grappling appears in your life. I was always into sports as a kid, but every couple of years I would change sport. So I did many, many kinds of sports. I did swimming, I ran, I did horseback riding, I did
Oh,
soccer, I did Muay Thai. And Muay Thai it started with Muay Thai. Uh, I was watching the UFC with friends. Some of my friends invited me to watch GSP's debut,
okay.
and I thought that was super cool. And while kind of overanalyzing in these days, that was like 15 years ago. Not telling my age or anything. It's going to be our little secret. Um, so the classic combination of fighters in MMA in these days was Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, like the good duo. So I thought I have to try one of these two. It looks interesting, and I started with Muay Thai. So I did that for maybe 3, 4 years. And then I thought, well, I need my brain to work and to continue my studies, and intellectual work. So I thought maybe I'm going to switch to grappling. So one of my friends introduced me to grappling, and then that stayed for more than a couple of years.
Amazing. And you've traveled quite like with your job too, but also you've traveled a lot with jujitsu as well.
Yes, well, every time I go out of my city or out of my town, I make sure I bring a gi or a no-gi set because you never know if there's a club. And most of the time, there is a club, and people are just so cool. They're just so welcoming. And it's just so cool to make it part of your trip because every place, every club has its own culture and they have their own style. And I've never had a bad experience when I was traveling, bringing my stuff. People were always super safe, and I'm very grateful for that. So I like to document those little experiences to encourage people, like, if jiu-jitsu is part of your life, it can be part of your vacation too. And it brings a little unique touch to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, in your travels, do you have any tips for people that are looking to incorporate jujitsu visits like within their, whether it's work trips, family trips, and so on?
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit obsessive in terms of over analyzing clubs. I don't want to just drop in a place where they're not used to have visitors. So I will do a thorough research. I will check out location, for example. Is it a gym that is near where I crash or where I want to visit first? And then I'm going to overanalyze the crowd. What kind of crowd hangs out there? In the pictures, there's little telltale signs that it's a welcoming space. Usually when there's a lot, when you see recurrent faces in between pictures, it shows that they have a strong core. If you see a diversity of socio-demographic, age, sex, shapes, weights, that is also an indicator that there's, now I'm going to sound like a nerd, but there's a heterogeneity in the crowd. So yeah, when there's a diversity of those characteristics in levels, you have different ages with higher belts. You have different shapes, different, like you have women and men in higher belts. That's also a good sign. That's maybe as a bonus. If the pictures are just a bunch of people bumping their chest, maybe you're gonna fall into a category that is not compatible with vacation. When I'm on vacation, I'm not training in a Mortal Kombat mode, but maybe you do. Maybe you can put this part of your analysis. But when I train abroad, I don't want to hurt myself. I just want to learn and drill and test my technique with different people. I will try to be in harmony with that kind of mindset.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
And
write to them in advance as well. That's very important. Announce yourself and be very explicit. Like I ping them on Instagram. I say, look, this is my name. This is my belt. I train at this place. I will be visiting in that period. What's your policy around visitors and what's your schedule?
okay.
It's very explicit sometimes, and I will try to make it happen. And if I have a good time, I might buy some merch. I might do a little post. So as a way to kind of bring visibility. So that's my monologue of tips.
That no, that and that is really useful too, because you know, if you think about the anxiety just around going to your own club at times for the individual going and being a part of their community and then going outside of that into like territory unknown, right? So it's good to kind of just make it simplified that this is, and I like probably your criminology background with your research. I love that. The demographics and how you kind of like pick that apart to what makes sense for you for your values. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
And
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
if you have a doubt, you just don't go. It doesn't matter. You can bring your nogi stuff and do a little jogging, do a little something else. It doesn't matter. If you have a doubt, you just do something else.
Yeah. No, it's true. And when you're actually at the clubs, do you find like ease of kind of communicating with these new partners as you're rolling with them and kind of like you said, like different places will have different kind of expectations. Some are maybe more of an MMA, more
Yes.
competition based, whereas others are more maybe like, you know, just the community based, just the exercise, the movement, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it all trickle downs to leadership. So the first thing I do when I arrive is that I identify who are the strong leaders. Usually it's the coach, but sometimes there's other strong leaders. And what, like, how do they behave? Are they proactively welcoming and inclusive? Or no? Or I have to do a little more footwork, which is fine. I don't, it's okay. what about the language barrier? Because I've trained in Italy. I
Oh,
speak Italian, so it's okay, but it's still something to consider. A month ago, I was in Greece. So
oh
I
wow.
thought, I don't know Greek. Do they speak English? The answer is yes. And sometimes they will teach in English because you're there and they're nice. They don't have to. But it's little things, behaviors tell a lot. Yeah.
That's, that's amazing. I didn't realize you like globally, you've really traveled to some interesting places, like and trained.
Yeah. Well, most of the time it's in Canada. Last spring I was in Oshawa. I was in Ottawa too. It sounds kind of the same, but it's not. It's really not. But it's the same principle. In Ottawa, I went to Costa Academy. Same thing. I identified a leader, and it was super cool. These guys were they lent me a gi, just like
Oh,
that. Yeah, they did not have to do that, but they did it. So behaviors. But come prepare, be proactive, and observe behaviors, and try to fit in, try to mirror the culture, to not clash and to not impose yourself.
right. That's
But
awesome.
so far it's good. Usually they are curious because sometimes they haven't rolled with women that are higher belts. So for them, it's an interesting curiosity. Yes, in Greece they were curious. Also, I'm tall. I'm about 1.74 meters. So
Okay.
I'm a tall lady. Like I have the shape of a small man. So to them, it was odd, but in a positive way.
That's wild. That's good though. And it's so nice to hear that whether Canada or abroad, you've had really good experiences because, you hear so much about jiu-jitsu community and how much of a family it is, in your little pocket of the world, like where you are in your community, but then just like really reaching out and it really, really, truly being everywhere's.
Yeah, when you love and you're passionate about what you do, not everybody is passionate, and it's okay. Everybody
Right.
has a life.
Yes.
But when you connect with people with the same passion, they it brings a layer of magic. And people are generous. And when I welcome visitors, I mirror that. I want to share that passion with them, and I will make sure they have a good time and they come back.
Exactly. That's awesome. And from your years in jujitsu, like what got you for into competing? Like what was that bridge to kind of like you make that jump?
It's always nice to test your skills in a situation where you have a surprise.
Okay.
You know your training buddies. They have good days, they have bad days, they have favorite moves, they have less favorite moves. But when you compete, you know nothing about that. You don't know if your buddy is having a good day or a bad day, or if she's nervous, or what's her favorite thing. You have no clue of that. And that question of what can happen got me into competing kind of early. I think I was less than a year in.
Okay.
And in these days, not long after, it became illegal in Quebec, like only in Quebec,
Oh
because there was
wow.
a thing with the government, and not gambling, but like the not gambling, but like the authority that manages boxing and stuff like that. So because it was not a and it's still not a federated Olympic sport,
Yep.
jiu-jitsu fell into the cracks. So
Yep.
at one point we had to drive to Ontario. So I don't have a long, and it was before smooth comp, so you cannot verify my record. I'm
Right.
too old for that. But maybe I can find a couple of pictures. So yeah, and then COVID appeared, no competition, and then COVID left, and
Mhm.
then we can compete again. So fast forward.
Fast forward, yeah, that's wild. And you're still loving the mindset and just kind of the challenge of like looking at future competitions that you'd like to.
Well, the maritime scene is super lively, super friendly. It's hard. Like I'm having like thoughts of should I compete again? Because I'm getting old right now. So I'm getting old and broken, and I'm not sure. There's a risk management factor to take into account, and sometimes it's not the right timing with work and stuff like that. But the community is so welcoming, and the scene is so alive that it's very hard to consider not competing again.
Right.
So that's why I'm kind of thinking about it again. So
No.
for maybe this winter or something, or and if I don't, I will surely help people prep. It's one of my favorite thing, helping people prep for important events. Maybe it's a professional deformation of like coaching and mentoring very closely, but
Yeah,
I think it's part of the process and part of giving back.
that's awesome. I really love hearing that. I'm okay to say my age. I'm 42. So I feel like you I'm like when you say you're old, I don't think I've never competed. I've been doing jujitsu for a few years now, and it's one of those things that you hear from people, and I've just been too scared to do it.
Yeah, and it's valid, really valid. People sometimes maybe underestimate the risk management because when you're injured, who's going to take care of you,
Yeah.
right? Uh, that support network, you're putting that on them, and most of the time they didn't ask to be mobilized in that. So yeah, I think thinking about that and that risk management and not putting that weight on other people's shoulder. Even like sometimes you hear people and they're like, "Oh no, when I'm injured, I'm figuring it out," and they're playing tough. But like, you know what? That's not true. Okay, even if you're crying in your bed, sipping on Lipton soup,
Yeah.
there's people around you worrying.
Yes.
So you're putting weight on them, whether you want it or not. And it's
Yeah.
part of risk management. Sorry, not sorry.
Totally fair.
That's it.
And it's good. And I think age thing, that's where in my head I've been like making jokes about maybe when I'm 45 or 50, I'll do my first competition. But I also appreciate and have so much respect for people that get out there and compete. Doesn't matter what competition they go to. It's just putting themselves out there and kind of just like pushing past some of those fears and testing, because I hear so much about the testing your abilities, like you said earlier with your buddies. You know their good days, their bad days, their favorites, and you just get kind of like comfortable in that environment. So to really push yourself beyond into like the unknown.
Absolutely. Jillian, if you ever compete, and take my word, call me up, I'll show up. And
Okay.
we can do a session to prep, so you're not going to be thrown in the cold water by yourself. You're going to be ready.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm still very
Serious.
much, I believe it. I trust you. I am so overdue to go visit Quantum. So when you're home, like, I have to come up for some classes because I know poor Alex, I said, I'm going to come and visit. And it's a year later and here we are. So I'm
I
definitely
can come to
overdue.
you. I can come to you. We're in the same province. Thing is not a problem. We can figure it out. This offer can be this year, in 5 years, in 10 years, as long as we're around. It's
Beautiful.
chill.
I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. I'm definitely going to take you up on it. I wanted to shift gears just a little bit, and I have a way of coming back around, but I just like the whole criminology professor, the whole background. Tell me about that. Tell me about your story there and what got you
Yeah.
interested in criminology.
So what's interesting is that usually I don't mix that part in my training
Yes.
because to me, when I'm at the club, it's my way to be exposed and in interaction with real people. And I'm conscious that being a university professor has a certain connotation and it can intimidate some people. And to me, it doesn't change how I see others, but it might change how they see me. So I don't proactively share that. When people ask me what I do in life, typically I'm just going to say I teach, which is not a lie. And
Right.
they assume I teach at the elementary level and we move on with our life. And the most curious one are going to say, but what do you teach? And then I'm like, oh my God, I have to actually answer that question. So then I just say like I'm a university teacher and we're okay. And I do research and whatever. So how did I get into criminology? So I always loved school, obviously, because I'm still in school.
If I could be still there, I would.
But I was also very curious about everything. So to me, criminology is a way to get into complex human puzzles, but also to keep that exposure or options to dig into a high variety of subjects. 20% of Canadians have a criminal record. So you probably know somebody that has a criminal record, whether you know they know or they don't know, like whether you know or not. There's all kinds of people who have criminal records. There's rich people, poor people, smart people, less smart people. Crimes, the variety of crimes and context are, you can think about Al Capone hidden in a basement, but you can also think about somebody stealing a lipstick at Atlantic Superstore. So that broad rainbow of subjects really was just a big sandbox for me. So I thought, let's try it out. And here we are, like many years later, still playing in that sandbox and not getting tired of it yet. Yeah.
I love that. I took I went to university late in life. I was in my mid 30s and I had taken two criminology courses, behavior and stuff, and it was just so I can see how you got really drawn in. I was doing a biopsych degree, but like I could see the pull of just there's so many layers, there's so many things in criminology, just from like doing goodness and back into the community to like, rehabilitation to kind of like the psychology around people with psychopathy versus not like it blew my mind. I absolutely loved those courses.
Did you expect CSI in these course or
I
no?
I was lucky. I had no expectation. It was just I went into every course just kind of like set everything aside and just like take it in.
Yeah, okay. That's an amazing attitude. That's an amazing attitude. Okay.
Because
So
I have heard like in the past people, watching CSI and then that's your expectations. Like that's not.
no, it's not. It's not. What is your top lesson from these classes?
I think
What
just
that you still carry with you up to today?
I think the biggest thing because my values very, very strongly in community. And when I was learning about kind of like recidivism and rehabilitation of like when you think about the majority of the ones that commit, there could be social economic situations, with nature versus nurture as their upbringing, their circumstance, and just learning about some programs that wasn't just like your probation officer and it was about the community outreach around that and making people feel like they're valued and actually giving them purpose and seeing like the stats on how successful it was with people in rehabilitation. So when they're getting back out there, whether they're going to school, whether they're getting help with jobs, and people in the community that were not part of corrections or law enforcement, kind of like taking them in and being and pulling them away from that potential, old group or old kind of routine where they get right back into crime. So I think that was like one thing that I took away and I was like, I wish that could be everywhere.
Yeah, it's complex human puzzles.
Yeah. Yeah. But and just yeah, the mindset of stuff. And there was like really hard topics that I really struggled with. And I think, I had children while in university, but I was glad I didn't have kids at that time because I feel like I would just been a puddle in
Yeah.
those courses because just some of the topics that came up. But just really seeing there's a lot more gray area
Mhm.
than the black and white, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But but I just anyway, so yeah, I can appreciate your like the sandbox theory now. I like that analogy.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, one thing that I did notice like a while ago, just thinking about, you hear a lot of stuff about self-defense and like, thinking about your background and kind of what you've been exposed to over the years, your research, and like, how are your feelings about self-defense, male or female, and just kind of jujitsu, like kind of like the blending of of your background and in both those.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of topics in the community that are circulating, and most of the time I don't mix what I do in life and what I do in life. Like there
Right.
are like two sides. But when it touches something in the sandbox, it's very hard for me to not nerd out on it. It's very hard for me to keep my mouth shut because, unfortunately, for some people, I'm highly trained to read scientific studies. So,
Right.
in my field, in other fields, I have big limits. So, that's why I don't adventure in nutrition and training and like public health stuff.
Right.
But when it's about criminology, law enforcement, any mechanism that involves guardianship or self-defense, it's very hard for me to not verify if the logic makes sense or not. What is tested? What is not tested? What is speculation? And maybe that's my little anarchist side of being a Quebecer. But when it's a transaction, when it involves taking people's money, it triggers a special spot inside me. So I
Okay.
want to make sure things are said for the right reasons. Proposition are not twisted to the benefit of somebody who's going to make money out of it.
Right.
So I've been seeing those self-defense workshop, and obviously I'm not the target audience for that. But I said, you know what? I'm going to check what the study has to say about that. What do we know about
Right.
those work? Do they work? Um, if they work, what aspect make them work? If they don't work, what aspect should we dig in? And what's the quality of the studies that are being put out there?
Mhm.
So yeah, the narrative around those workshops, and I've seen like how they are marketed. Usually it's targeted towards women. And
Yes.
what's interesting is that men have higher risk of being assaulted by strangers than women. So maybe men should be the target audience for self-defense. Women, when they are more targeted, it's by people who love them or loved them
Mm.
before. Context of the assault, whether it's physical or psychological or verbal or whatever, is completely different. I'm not sure physical defense is the answer to that, because when you engage with aggression, you can just have aggression back. It doesn't solve the problem. It can come back.
Right.
Maybe it's not safe. So yeah, so I checked the studies, and basically they don't work. They don't work in the sense like what work is important. So they don't work in the sense of they don't bring skills that are actionable. They bring theory, they bring knowledge. So people are going to think they can defend themselves, but
Right.
we don't know if they can actually do it. That's
Mm.
a big flaw because it's marketed as defend yourself, defend your family, whatever. However, these workshops are good for empowerment. They
Hmm.
make you feel good. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But to feel good, you can do all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Uh, I sometimes I run with the park, I like at the park, and it makes me feel good. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost me $100.
Yeah, it's fair.
So yeah, so that's a big abstract about those self-defense workshop. I
Yeah.
don't think they come from a bad place. I just think that maybe the marketing is fallacious, and they should be like people who offer these workshops should be more transparent. Are you recruiting people for your club
Right.
or not? Do you want to make money? Like, just be transparent about it. There's nothing wrong with making money with things. A lot of people want to live off jiu-jitsu, and there's many ways to do it. Some people organize competitions, some people open a club, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
when the marketing has a little twist that is, it's not exactly that, like, nah, it's gonna, and that's how I got into writing that little annoying post.
Yeah. No, I loved it. No, it was really good. Like you said, there are benefits and there are reasons why these things are good. I like your idea, right? It brings people together. So otherwise it kind of catches like, oh, I never really would have thought of that. You know, you get them together. I I would think you want to transition them into, you know, probably like full-time kind of self-defense work, like into something, you know, like you said, empowerment, like, okay, I don't need to be scared. But I agreed, like I liked kind of that post at the time that you'd said, because, you know, I think about if I have a gap in training and then I go, I'm a little rusty. So if I go to a self-defense class for like a couple of weeks and then I walk around being like, okay, I'm good. Like I took this class a year ago.
I ate salad this week. Now I can eat chocolate cake and nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Does that?
Exactly. So yeah, so I appreciate that side of things, and that you know, I'm always kind of like preaching on my soapbox to get people to do things regularly, like, you
Yeah.
know, the muscle memory portion of that. Yeah. Yeah. Totally fair. So no, and it's good to have studies because not everyone's fortunate enough to be able to kind of like research and like, you know, have access to papers and whatnot and to kind of know how to navigate that kind of thing. I know one of my coworkers approached me, "Oh, you do jujitsu? You should do a women's self-defense class at our work." And I was like, uh, you know,
Where do we start?
yeah, like what's
Where do
important?
we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, I work in nonprofit and I work with at-risk people. And, you know, it's like, yeah, sometimes situations come up, but we've been very fortunate, knock on wood, that we haven't had any like physical altercations with anybody. So I just think like, oh, I don't know, what would I teach there? And what would people take away from that? Yeah.
It's not a magical superpower.
Yes.
And sometimes, like, I have these conversations with my buddies, and they're gonna say, well, I would not mess up with you, Veronique. And I'm like, okay, but okay, I'm not a small lady. I'm strong for my size. I'm a purple belt. I'm trained. I train. But if the person has a knife, everything is canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the person is 100 kilo, even untrained, everything is canceled. Like, I'm not gonna engage in that. It's
Hmm.
not a thrill. It's the last option. If it's only if I don't have the choice. But there's so many version of scenarios where, yeah, there's a knife, there's two people, everybody's drunk, somebody broke like a beer bottle on the table. It's not it's not a superpower, and it's not a superpower you want to use in real life anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's totally fair. No, and anyways, it fired me up too when I read it. And I just thought it's so good to kind of talk about the benefits of jitsu, self-defense classes, how they actually work. And so people can make good decisions on that.
It's also self-defense woman. Oh yeah, the woman right away. Pink. We're gonna put pink everywhere. It's for the woman. Why? It's the real question.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it should be for everybody. And I know sometimes having pocket of women groups kind of helps. Like for me, when I first started, I started in a women's jujitsu group, and that helped me kind of bridge the gap with like being in physical proximity with other people's spaces, different body shapes and sizes. And then, but the idea was this is a temporary thing. You will eventually go to co-ed. Like this
Yeah.
is a stepping point to get into it. Because I don't think there was very many the women that were like, we only ever want to be with women. Like it was part of the club. So I think that's kind of a healthy way to do it too, right? Because again, different shapes, sizes, different perspectives, and yeah.
And the fact that it's an option that is temporary as a transition,
Mm.
totally fine. I did not have that transition because I started with combat sports and Muay Thai and clinch, and I did not have that option.
Yeah.
And for some people, don't need it. If you don't have a martial art background and it's a way to introduce, why not? Why not?
Yeah. And I know like I've talked to so many club owners that like even Alex just talking about like a women's only, and they're hard to keep up. That's like one thing that I noticed that I keep hearing.
Yeah.
They're hard to keep the numbers, but you do see good club culture where there is a huge women's presence in the like in the club itself. And like like Melissa Adams at Synergy, she would do this kind of like once a month women's class, but then they would come into the other classes, but they just
Mhm.
kind of had their like one togetherness event. And
Mm.
then, they start shooting off into the other classes. So, and then they just have such a huge women's presence, right? As a whole, which I think is amazing.
If it works, it works. Maybe I can share with you my hot take on that, and maybe I'm going to
Yeah.
get canceled or not.
I know.
To me, and I've shared that with people of quantum. I think we're fortunate enough that we have a great group culture, and I don't think we need women class because our men and women are not serial killers. They're not serial rapists. There's proactive monitoring for safety. And if there's a new woman that would like to have that transition, I will happily train with her. One at first, one time, two times, and then we're going to move on with life.
Right.
But again, to me, when there's a woman class and it's permanent and it's regular and it's permanent, and I observe that the women don't go in regular class and they are segregated, I ask myself the questions: do these men are maniacs? So they need to protect their women? But that's my take. And again, I'm a tall lady, so maybe I have less of a lag with the size and weight. I have a friend, she's a blue belt. She's 5'2".
That's me. I'm
She's
five
about
two.
she's about 100 pounds, and I love her to bits. But when we roll together, I feel like I'm a Godzilla, and I'm a woman.
Hmm.
So my inner thoughts are maybe some particular weight course would make more sense.
Yeah.
Like a class for, I don't know what's the cutoff, but maybe like 140 and down. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're 16, you're 25, doesn't matter. 150 pounds and down, maybe we can specialize.
Right.
Maybe a class for bigger people, because it also affect their own strategies. So maybe a class for people who are, I don't know, 200 and up. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. These are just ideas out there,
No,
but
and I think it's great because depending on your coach, like if your coach is a bigger person, very muscular, I'm 5'2", I'm short, I'm tiny. So there is like I always joke about little people jujitsu, right? Because like
yeah,
some stuff
no,
you're
but
seeing these moves and
it's
you're
not
like, no, like I'm rolling with people like 3 times my size and I'm like, I can't do those moves. I
Mhm.
see the value in them and you do the drills and you go through the classes, but you're like, I also need something that's going to work for me, which I know the journey is you kind of figure it out as you go, but it is, I think that is good to have kind of a specialized, like, okay, now for the shorter people because I have a guy that, we joke about our short legs because I'm like, I
Yeah,
can't like close guard. Like I struggle with that. I have little legs.
yeah,
Like you're breaking that no problem. So I've
yeah.
no in my brain, I'm like, I have to work on other things because that's probably not where I'm going to hold people.
Emily Kwok has great techniques for small people in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Emily Kwok.
I'll have to reach out to her.
Maybe I think for the podcast it would be also she would have a good input.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting the information out and chatting with people and building, women and men. Like I mostly like try to support the women in the group, but there's a lot of men out there that are supporting the women and they're doing wonderful things and building these beautiful communities. So yeah, absolutely just love to hear the stories and kind of talk about these ideas as a whole, just to kind of so people out there listening can go, this makes sense. This would work for me. This, just say earlier, you're talking about traveling and how to research a gym to go to, like all information to be shared that will help other people's journeys a little bit easier, a little more successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants more tips or have questions, they can always reach out and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's cool. I guess yeah, so I figured like when you kept saying about separation of like work and jujitsu, I mean, you probably are pretty heavily involved with research and whatnot. So do you find that having that nice break and having that boundary really helps you with your kind of like mental health care and like your jujitsu
Yeah.
journey?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how there's a lot of things I learned in jiu-jitsu that I apply in my professional life. The way the way some coaches teach, the patience, the mentoring, rewarding good behaviors. Those are things that I really observe in classes and I try to adapt them in my own classes. But it's good to have a separation because like sometimes I just finish my day. There was a lot of screen time, there was a lot of writing grams, and I just want to think of nothing and do shrimp and bridge and rolls, and that's it. I want to heap drop white belt conversations on things they don't know about, and just like it's yeah, it's very relaxing in that sense.
That's fair. Yeah, and shutting your brain off, right, to the something else. Like, yeah. Oh, I can just only imagine. See, I facilitate, but I facilitate youth. So I do a culinary class and project-based learning. So I'm on my feet the entire day.
Oh my God, how do you make sure that you still have the energy to train if you're on your feet all day?
It's a struggle. For me, I recognize that one, I have two children, one's 3.5, one's 7. Christopher, myself, and Josh and Amanda, we do the road grappling, this podcast. Christopher does a podcast. We have another apparel brand, and I also want to be present for my children as well. So there are days when, probably I'm lucky to get once a week training. My goal is to get to two, and I do weight training once a week as well. So there are days when I really just have to keep standing. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired, but I'm like, I have to keep moving or else if I will melt in that couch and that will be the end and I'm not going anyways.
Yeah. So you just don't stop. You push it until the end of the day and then okay, we're good.
Yeah. The break is on. Yeah. Cause usually we have to truck the kids too with us to class and our club is so, so welcoming. Like we're so very fortunate that we can bring our kids and like they also will look out for them as we're trying to like, okay, get off the mats. Nope. It's the adult's turn kind of thing. So we're very grateful, but
And I'm so admirative to parents who figure out to continue training. Because you're managing little people. You're managing your life, you're managing your kid's life, you're managing your couple's life. So that's like managing, it's The Sims on steroids.
Yeah. And I know it won't be crazy forever. So I feel bad sometimes when I look out at other people and how much training they're getting. And it's just, I'm so happy for them and just their journey. And I'm going, you know what? Mine is temporary right now. This is what it is at the moment. And we're doing the best we can with what we have and also trying to enjoying that as well.
You're
I,
playing The Sims competitive mode.
yes.
I'm amazed that you still get some actual training. For real, no, I'm very admirative of
Thank
parents
you.
that train. I don't know how you guys do it, but you do it. So I cheer for you.
Thank you so much. And I think too, like, mm, our oldest is in jujitsu. And so we love that. And I think it's kind of for us, we don't care. Like he's going to learn self-defense, like both kids are going to. And we want to also make it fun so that they see mom and dad. Like Christopher's been in it for 12 years now. He's getting close, getting close to, he's well into his brown belt. And and then them seeing like mom and dad do it, it's something that we do as a family. The community is amazing and just promoting that in hopes that they both will not begrudge us for dragging them to it, but they'll actually enjoy it.
Too late.
Right?
Too late. The train is on.
That's it. My
If
little
you
3-year-old.
drop, it's on.
It's on.
It's
That's right.
rolling.
I tease my oldest about, how to keeping him under wraps here. If he acts out of line, I know what to do. But I think it's good. It's important. I think that, men and women coming together and this community and as well as the kids seeing it and having that one thing about Rogue that I'm so grateful for is watching those kids become teenagers and those teenagers becoming adults because we've been doing it for over 7 years now. And, just the confidence and watching these humans grow up and being like able to feel comfortable in their skin and feel comfortable out there in the world because of it. So I just think it's pretty amazing. Sorry, that was my rant.
That was an amazing. You're seeing live the equivalent of a Pokemon evolution. Baby athletes becoming mid hybrid, then becoming adults.
Yeah.
Do you have that evolution in terms of personality? Do you think of examples of young people that are growing in that sport and like I don't know how to ask that. Sometimes my English is
No,
off.
good.
Do you have examples of that kind of evolution that maybe was not expected, like surprise evolutions?
I think that yes, because there's one in particular that he's really grown as a child into a man now. And I look at him and he's just so kind, charismatic, hardworking. It's weird now, like rolling with this person, and after having seen them as a little kid, when he first started. And I think that's admirable. I think that life's all the lessons that get thrown at you in life. Watching that person having the tools to kind of get through it, and being a pretty well-rounded human being. I've also seen interactions at tournaments, kids losing and watching them support others and watching them be graceful in their losing and, still being respectful of the coaches and the other people, the other teams that are there. So that in itself, I've seen so much of that over the years that it just like that right there is enough. It's amazing to see. So because it's not just the adults emulating it, but it's just watching the teenagers and the kids also emulating that as well. So I think, and I've heard stories, not necessarily that I've seen, but just hearing stories about, especially the little girls. I think it's so amazing. Like there's one at my club and she's just like a little firecracker. And I mean, she could beat all the boys. Like she's amazing. She's a little tough, little toughy, but but she walks around in the world and she's just young. She's, under 10 and is like, she knows her purpose. Like she is important and she's special and she's kind and she feels confident in that. And I just think like her mother, I'm just like, it's amazing,
Oh,
right? It's because she will walk out there in the world feeling like, her self-worth, she like already self-love and not having to be like my age and going to therapy to figure
yeah.
that crap out.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
maybe she will still go, but it's not a bad
For
thing.
other things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can start them early. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think just the self-defense, I mean, and you probably see that too in your research and things like the socioeconomic status of people and like what they've grown up with. And, if they're
Yeah.
exposed to something like this, I'm curious to see research on, whether lower class, like not lower class, that's the worst word. Not, I don't mean to say it like that, but just like lower socioeconomic status, if they're able to go to martial arts and they're able to go to something like that, like what would that change for them in the future? For you know what I mean? So for those that are privileged and are able to pay to go to jiu-jitsu and to martial arts and other stuff, it'd be interesting to see what that looks like in regards to crime and kind of like their journey. So
Well, being in group sports or being exposed to pro-social kids in a safe environment is linked to decrease of antisocial behaviors for kids. So they have less risk of being antisocial, and usually offenders are pretty much antisocial people. They are impulsive, they lack of self-control, and they will continue their life. I don't know if jiu-jitsu specifically can have maybe a special impact in comparison to other sports, but in general, being hooked on sports, being exposed to other kids, all kinds of kids have an interesting positive impact. There was a study recently that I read, and now I'm a bad prof because I didn't memorize the details, but they were comparing people doing jujitsu and something else, or judo, but it was
okay.
grappling. And they took samples of saliva and they were measuring cortisol and other things. And basically, the jujitsu group, one of the conclusion is that there was more bonding between jujitsu buddies. There was less cortisol for even if they were training hard. And one of the discussion point was when your sports consists of being very close for a long period of time, close in a way that it's almost hugging. It brings a special trust, bond, whatever, if you're exposed to those same people weeks after weeks after months. If your club is always rolling and there's a high turnover, of course, you're not going to develop that relationship with all of your training buddies. But the fact that training consists of being very close
Hmm.
can bring a special rapport. I would hypothesize that maybe for kids, it has an extra layer of benefit that we should verify with a real study one day.
Yeah, I like that. You'll have to put that into play.
Yeah, I know.
Because it is true when you see the clubs that are very close knit and you see the same pictures, like the same people,
Same
you might
people.
have people, some people in the outskirts come and
Yeah,
go or visitors or
yeah,
whatnot, but you see the
yeah.
core, even just like Christopher and I are going to Toronto, we're going to visit JT6. So Nick and Rachel, their club, and they have, family. I just like everything that they put out. I'm like, it feels like family.
Mhm.
And I know my own club here, and I'm sure you feel the same way at Quantum. Like you just see all they're your extended family.
When you do things with these people that is not training, and you don't have to, you can go to your club, train, go home, live your life, and you're still going to have that special rapport. But sometimes life bring you in other spots and you get to help a buddy move houses. Okay. You call up a buddy because you need help to get a couch in your house. or you go for coffee, or you go for a walk with these guys and gals. It's something that doesn't necessarily happen when you train at Fit for Less or
Right.
whatever brand of weight training gym that exists.
No, it's true. Yeah.
And it fosters that trust and safe environment.
Yeah.
You know, these people have your back and you have their back.
Yeah.
So when you train, you know that they're not going to break your arm for real.
Right.
So
Yes. Yeah.
you can go to work the next day
Yeah,
and
that's
have
it.
a regular grocery run on Sunday,
Yeah, well, you're not injured or just hobbling
right?
along. Totally fair.
Exactly.
And I think a level of respect too, like you said, the bonding of being in such close proximity with people, but then the respect of pushing each other.
Yeah. And at first, it's weird. When
Yes.
there's a new person at the club, you don't know if that person is going to stay. You don't know what's his or her relationship with proximity, what are the experience beforehand. So it's something that you continuously develop and maintain. Sometimes you have bad days and you're just not, you don't feel like having a little Oprah moment talking. And it's okay. And everything is valid. But it's interesting. I have not experienced that in when I did Muay Thai,
Oh, okay.
that proximity, because you hit each
Yeah.
other in the face
Yeah,
or two.
that's fair.
And you're pretty much managing that distance. You're close, close. Oh no, then you're too close. And so you're always managing. So even if there's clinch, I'm not sure it's the same ethos.
Right. No, that's true. Very
Maybe we're
valid.
closer to the judo people in that sense. Yeah, I
Yes.
would be curious to compare.
Yeah. Yeah, that and wrestling too.
Yeah, 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 for real. We might apply for a grant, Jillian.
I think
Next
so. Start.
fall, a government grant to
Oh,
answer all those questions.
let me know. I love research. I'm always trying to collect data points at work for like our impacts and stuff because my brain, I have a financial background, so I'm constantly doing
Okay.
like budgeting stuff and numbers.
Yep. Yep.
And anyways, when I took on the job, it wasn't a prerequisite, but I was noticing like what are our impacts of all the projects we're doing. And, one of my coordinators was writing a grant and I said, hey, we fed 760 families last year in this meal in a bag that we do. And here's, these numbers. And she's like, oh my goodness. So I'm like, so research.
Thank you so much for bringing, because when you collect data, not making use of it
Mhm.
is waste. It's waste. It's keeping the light turned off
Yeah.
voluntarily.
Yes. Right.
Who lives in the dark voluntarily?
Yeah.
Like pitch black. Not like, oh, I'm light sensitive, because I'm light sensitive. Sometimes I need to keep it
Oh,
on. But
light.
it's not pitch black. Nobody choose to live pitch black.
No.
But I don't know. For me, not using data when you have it's kind of you're deep in the cave by
Yes.
yourself or with people, but you're deep in the humidity,
Yeah.
dark.
It's nice to see measurements too. Like I think the numbers I started out just to share them with my learners to say like, you're coming in, you're doing your routine, you're trying to get your credit for high school and like the projects that we do, I'm like wanting to show them like this is what you've actually done. So employment wise, if you get out there and you start talking about you hear project management, these buzzwords, you're doing that. And
Yeah.
here's the impacts that you've made in the time you've been doing it. So I just need to find a way to translate it for myself for jujitsu. But like but it's cool to, their faces, some of them, they really go, wow, okay. I'm not just going through the motions. I've actually done something. There's been impact there. So, yeah.
It's hard to track progress in a sports where you get better with time,
Yes.
but your body too. So everybody's getting better and better. It's not, it's hard to get a comparison point. And it's a decision-making sport too.
Yes.
It's not like I'm going to run 5K and I'm going to check my time.
Right.
30 minutes, 25 minutes. It's hard to evaluate, did I progress in my decision making? how do you realize that you're making progress? What are your signs?
For me,
Yeah.
really, I think more I feedback from my husband. We would talk sometimes because we go to jujitsu together, and we usually partner up and then we roll with other people. But I'll kind of also, I guess, evaluate the days that I feel frustrated or the days that I actually feel like kind of on top of the world, where I feel like I've gotten somewhere. And then looking back, I think it's just like you go back to the beginning, right? Like, okay, I didn't know how to shrimp. I didn't know how to do any of these things. And here I am learning like submissions and like how to escape. And did I survive that 5-minute round? So I do try to temper my expectation sometimes with watching other people because I'm just uncoordinated. So you tell me to go left, I'm going right.
Understandable.
So just
Mhm.
and I'm just in the mess of it. So I just accept I'm in the mess of it. It's okay. Things will click eventually. And then
Mhm.
things have already clicked. So I guess, yeah. But feedback from Christopher, I usually will say, like, what do you think? Be honest. Cause he's always going to be honest with me. Like, and going to the women that fight seminars too, like rolling with some other women, I feel a lot more comfortable. I'll ask like kind of, like Madeline at in PEI at
She's
Westford,
amazing.
like she gave me
She's
great
amazing.
feedback on my breathing, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you need to calm that breathing down when I was feeling like I was almost going to be a spaz, right? So,
Little things are big things.
yes. So I'm personally not shy to ask people, what do you think? Like how, like, give me feedback, I guess, because sometimes my own emotions won't allow me to it'll either be super negative or whatnot. So having something logical outside of that kind of helps too.
And it's a great gift to be able to share that with a partner or a BFF
Yes.
or a regular training buddy, because that person will see your trajectory and you will see their trajectory too. So
Yes.
it's a great gift.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I loved the curves of all the different things that we talked about today. I was so excited to finally have you on and pick your brain on your journey. And I'm gonna when you're back on Instagram and following your stories and
Yes. I'll be back soon. I was taking a little break because work is very busy right now in a
yeah.
very crazy way. I will come back with random shenanigans with Madame Pinot.
Yes, that'd be
Yeah.
good. She's just adorable. But I think it's good. Mental health, self-care, knowing your limits, boundaries.
Yeah.
I even with the two Jiujiteiras, like Instagram, I was thinking I had to post all the time and realizing like where's the energy coming from? I want to be with my children. I want to manage this project. So it's like knowing, you know what, it's okay. Life's okay. You ebb and flow.
Less quantity, higher quality.
Yes.
People that love you, they will love you in a month.
Yes, exactly.
If they choked out, it doesn't matter. It's like a self-screening process.
Yes.
You don't, yeah, we don't need to post every single day. It doesn't matter. There's already a lot of stuff out there. We
Yes.
don't need to contribute to that noise.
Totally fair. Although I do post every day now because it's Halloween season, so I do my
Oh, different.
countdowns.
That's different.
But that's
There's a
like
little time.
I'm gonna annoy everybody with my Halloween decorations and quotes and
Yeah,
movies and all that.
give us ideas to bring joy in this season. I prefer Halloween than Christmas.
Same.
Let's go.
Yes, I'm building props. I love it. I was out there with my boys building like a bone pit and like the kids were playing with the pieces and just that's fills my heart.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for sharing everything, your journey and your adventures and your tips for those people. It was such a pleasure to talk to you today, and 100% will be coming to Moncton, and we will get some rolls in soon.
Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and take care.
You too. Thank you for inviting me.